On July 15th, 2017, 911 dispatchers received a call from 44-year-old Barbara Rogers from her home in Pennsylvania. She claimed her boyfriend, 32-year-old Stephen Mineo, forced her to hold a gun to his head and begged her to pull the trigger, killing him. In court, Rogers explained the couple's complicated past with their online cult leader, Sherry Shriner, and Rogers was found guilty on a lesser charge of third-degree murder. Rogers said that Mineo told her that Shriner was a reptilian and not the human prophet she claimed to be. A lot of people, including the Mineo family, think Rogers got off too easy. About 5 years earlier, another member of Shriner's cult, 22-year-old Kelly Pingley, died of a pill overdose after believing the end was near via reptilian overlords. The most alarming part of these very unfortunate events, Shriner's followers are still active today, her teachings still available on YouTube in a multitude of forms, and, in my opinion, her followers are exploiting unsolved crimes online for their own gain. Forums still post about her even after her death. Her followers claim this is only her YouTube death, hinting that she's still out there. The term Doomsday Cult was first used by John Laughlin in 1966 while he was studying the Unification Church in his book Doomsday Cult, a study of conversion. What is that?
Proselytization.
Proselytization and maintenance of faith. I could have done an episode on Jonestown or Heaven's Gate or even the Manson family, but the idea of digital doomsday cults is much more frightening to me. With the internet comes a whole new world of communication, outreach, and recruitment, in a way reaching deeper and further than cults in the 20th century could have ever dreamed of. Even the Family International, once known as the Children of God, a cult notorious for the sexual abuse of children, have a large presence on YouTube. Their leader, David Berg, used letters and pamphlets addressed to the congregation to communicate to them as widely as possible, and his followers employed a tactic called flirty fishing to recruit new members. Now the group is known under a new name and has around 40,000 views. What if Berg and his followers had had access to social media? I'm going to focus on Sherry Shriner and her beliefs as my backdrop for digital doomsday cults because I hate her and she's insane and her people need to walk away from their computers. But Shriner is only the tip of a very large iceberg. The doomsday aspect can be found across a wide range of cults you can find on YouTube and social media. Unicult, for example. Look it up. It's a cult about unicorns on YouTube. It's very, very popular.
Oh no, slow down right there. Slow down. Wait a second. Tell us just a little bit more about Unicult. It's about, do you worship unicorns?
Yes and no. I think it's both metaphorical and literal.
Is this like bronies?
No. Oh. It's more aliens.
Alien unicorns?
It's kind of a little bit of everything.
All right, so it's okay.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be like bronies, but I was really hoping.
No, but at least Unicult is not anti-Semitic or transphobic.
Those are my favorite things for a cult not to be.
Well, I'm looking at you, Sherry.
Oh, not me.
Not you, Rob. All right. So the introductions can start.
All right, let's, I liked your list there. Heaven's Gate is a pretty famous one, but also from just a little bit before that time period, the Waco, Texas events with Koresh.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that my mom actually vividly remembers watching on TV. And
yeah,
shit.
Me too. Us children of the 90s, we were traumatized by that.
Yeah, my mom was terrified.
It was fairly common. I mean, at that time period, the FBI and the ATF were in a regular way of targeting these militia groups who had a lot of guns and hold away in different parts of the world. There was the Ruby Ridge massacre and a variety of these different events. But we're actually going to get into some of that next season. Now, I have another question for you, Olivia.
Yes.
Your boy, Charles Manson.
My boy.
So now, I have never understood the Manson cult as a doomsday cult. Why do you say he might qualify here?
Yeah, well, I thought it was kind of interesting, too, because I wouldn't have necessarily put him, I think, when I first thought about it, in, as a doomsday cult. I wouldn't put him next to, the heavy hitters. But, I guess through looking it up, through the research for this episode, his name, the Manson family, kept popping up under this idea of doomsday cults. But I think it makes sense, especially considering at the time, I think people would have looked at the Manson family as a doomsday cult because, they were talking about the end of times through the White Album. And I don't think Manson actually believed any of it. He used it as a tool, but his followers believed it. So
Are we following this race war theory? Because I know that's very controversial that Manson was trying to start a race war.
Right. I mean, that's, I think, the idea of where the doomsday aspect would come from is this, because his whole idea of what he told them would be the end of times.
Sure. So So those members who believed in this narrative.
I mean, they believed it enough that, on his word, they went and murdered people without reason. So,
yeah.
I was wondering what qualifies a doomsday cult. Like, I don't know.
So if you want me to give you like a technical definition, if you look it up, it's going to tell you that it's a cult that has some kind of like militarian or like apocalyptic like tone or like theme to it. Does that make sense? So it can be either that they're predicting that the end of times are coming or that they're actually trying to usher in the end of times. It could be equally one of the two.
All right, so you may have noticed that this is what we in the business, the Occult Confessions business, and exclusively just our business call a flipped episode.
Flip. I don't know. I wanted something to happen there, but it didn't come out.
I think that's my job now since we flipped it. Flip. Flippity dip.
Oh.
I dip a flip.
Oh.
There you go.
Thank you.
So,
it's jazzy.
well, because I'm the songster now.
The bard, if you will.
I don't know if I will. We got to introduce folks, though, Olivia.
Yeah, this is going off the rails.
We're rolling a little bit deeper than we usually do today because Olivia has got a lot of stuff that makes no sense to me. So I have asked that we add an additional alchemical actor to our discussion crew. So, Olivia, you are in charge. Who do we have sitting around the table today?
Today we have Savannah Verrett.
Hello, everybody.
We've got James Kaplanges.
Hello, I'm captain of the table. I'm James Kaplanges.
All right, Savannah is the 84th sister.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you are.
Sister of the 84th degree.
There it is.
And then we got Jacob Wheatley, our serpent. What the hell are you?
He's of the danglings. He's a knight.
Oh, that's right. I see now. The dangling serpent. Knight of the dangling serpent.
What is up?
That's lovely. And what happens now, Olivia?
Should we... So I feel like I should maybe make a mention of sources here, maybe for...
Before we pledge? That's a
Do
plug
we?
situation.
Is that when we do...
Have you been drinking?
Yes.
We, the members
of the Secret Order of Alchemical Actors, do solemnly commit ourselves to a full and honest telling of the history of the occult as far as we know it.
Open it up now, Olivia.
Isn't that you?
You have to say what it's time for.
It's time for the plugs.
Plug.
Okay.
More operatic? No?
right.
You don't like that? You like the jazz?
That was fine.
I'll jazz it out.
Well,
Sources now.
yeah. So for sources today, here's the thing, guys. It's pretty much going to be Sherry Schreiner's website or one of her 20 websites, because if you go on her website, she also has the link to many others. The Watcher Files was like the other one I mainly used. But most of this is Sherry herself. It comes right from the source.
When you're doing digital stuff, it's got to be a lot of web work.
Yeah, and as far as like anything I got about like the case itself, it's all news articles.
Cool. So we'll post some of that on the internet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do that.
We'll contribute to the interneting of the internet.
Yes.
All right. We would like to welcome some new patrons. We've got D. Blitzak.
Sorry.
That's just for you, D.
What?
D. Blitzak. Jason. Also Aaron M. Chase T.H. James C. Stanley C. And Cole B. It's been busy over on the Patreon.
That's a lot.
Welcome
Because
to the family.
people are realizing the value of joining the Patreon family, a growing family of supporters who are helping to keep us going. We are working our way toward year 3 here, which does require a lot of time and effort, and we are investing all the money we're getting from our patrons back into the podcast. For example, last plug of the day, I want to throw it over to our sister of the 84th degree here. Savannah, what has been going on the YouTuberies?
I have edited our podcast into a video format where I put up a bunch of pictures and I tried to make some like jokes and stuff like that. Tried to make it a little bit more entertaining so you can get like a second watch value out of it if you did want to actually like watch it if you're more of a visual person. Although there are only 2 episodes up right now and I'm working on the 3rd one.
So what have we got up so far?
We have the Evil Eye from our Black Magic series, and then oh my god, what is the second one in the Black Magic?
Is it Human Sacrifice?
Yes, it was Human Sacrifice. Thank you.
Sacrifice.
Yes.
And a little bird told me it was mechanical that you are working on Gilles de Rais.
Yes, I am working on
Very
Gilles de Rais.
cool.
So I'm working on getting the Black Magic series up, and it's been difficult because it's hard to find pictures of human sacrifices to post into the thing.
Funny that.
Yeah.
Well, our listeners, get on that, will you?
Yeah.
Get on those interwebs. Start posting your.
It's okay.
Shannon will be glad to have your pictures of human sacrifice sent. Don't actually sacrifice anyone. I shouldn't. Boy, I could be an accessory to a murder here. Do not sacrifice anyone. But if you'd like to pose something up, we would be glad to have it.
Yes, I will also take memes. I've tried making memes to fill some spaces in the videos. And then I also drew, for the human sacrifice specifically, I drew comics to show some of the human sacrifice. So.
It's all kinds of art going on there.
Human Sacrifice 101.
Yeah, we'll talk about memes a little bit more when we get to our order of confessors today. But Olivia, I do think it's time that we. Well, you got to say this. You're in charge.
Real fast. We have merch. Merch.
Well, you're on to plug
Merch,
4
merch.
here, but okay, I accept that.
Merch.
You are in charge. You can do 4 plugs if you want.
Merch.
Should we close that up now?
Yeah, you can close it.
Plug, any plug.
I liked that one a lot. Thank you.
So tell us about old Sherry.
To be totally honest with you guys, it was nearly impossible to find anything about Shriner's history before her online cult, excluding what she tells us herself on her website. She is the self-proclaimed servant, prophet, ambassador, daughter, and messenger of the Most High God. So we have one voice that we're going to use today, which is going to be Sherry Shriner. So we're all just kind of going to rotate because I don't really have that many quotes from her, to be honest. So
We're gonna take turns, like passing the talking stick.
Aww.
Who has the talking stick first?
Jacob!
Me. Just as my ancient grandfather King David stood against the giants in his day with no fear, so will I stand against the giants in these last days with no fear. The Lord is my strength.
You heard correctly. Her grandfather was King David from the Bible.
King of what?
The Jews, James.
All of them. Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So she says her childhood was haunted by a 7-foot-tall, shadowy figure that would watch her sleep, sharpening her senses to demonic forces. The shadowy figure would later reveal itself to her, one of Lucifer's generals, sent to kill her due to her prophetic destiny. Lucifer knew Shriner would one day learn to harness the power to destroy him and his strongholds, and desperate to prevent this future, sent one of his generals to assassinate her.
He wouldn't even go himself. This seems really important.
Well, if he knew that she could destroy him,
Right.
You don't send yourself out first.
I feel like that's setting yourself up for failure.
But what kind of Bond villain shit is this? So the general's just standing there watching her? Why doesn't he just like stab her in the heart?
You gotta evaluate your prey first before you can attack.
So the other thing is that she also mentions that she is Lucifer's sister on Earth. So
What?
she throws that out in a couple of articles, and that complicates the family dynamic there.
It's just like Star Wars.
Yup. This fueled her lifetime journey of discovering the truth and her ideas of the New World Order. Shriner had a lot of beliefs, but I'm going to try to hit the highlights and the big ideas. Here's everything you need to know about Shriner's ideology in 20 points or less.
20 points or less?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see.
We might add some in there or subtract some off.
Are you guys ready? 'Cause
Yes.
We're going to dive right in.
Number uno.
The King James Bible is fucked up. Yes. It purposely mistranslated the name Yahshua, Son of God, to Jesus. But this Jesus isn't really Yahshua, but actually Satan. Everyone is at church worshiping Jesus, but it's actually Satan.
Hell yeah.
Wait, have we started the list yet? Is this
That's number one.
Okay,
Oh,
right.
that wasn't just like your
I thought
own.
you were just doing a little aside.
No, this
Okay,
is...
so this is Sherry Shriner?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool.
2.
Number 2.
The King James Bible is also the modern-day Garden of Eden.
Wait, the Bible is a garden?
Yes, the book is the garden. It contains the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, described using the Gospels of both Yahshua and the false apostate Saul Paul. So she slams Paul, and we kind of get into that later. She hates
It
Paul.
says it contains the tree of life. Does that mean it was made out of those trees?
No, it's more like metaphorical.
Oh.
I don't get how the garden can be in the book,
Yeah,
though.
I don't
So-
think I've been reading the right one.
There's the two God. Oh God.
Yeah, you're going to have to do
All
this.
right,
I
all
also have questions about false apostate because that sounds like a good thing. A false apostle, that's a bad thing.
Well, it's not good. That's all I know. All right, so there's two gospels. There's the one where Jesus talks about the kingdom, right? So
Of heaven.
Jacob, you can
Yes.
help me here with the details. So he talks about the kingdom, and that is supposed to be like the tree of life. That's how, like, the idea is that's the key. That's the key to the kingdom. That's the,
Okay.
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then Paul had his gospel, which is like and another gospel. Do you know what I'm talking about?
His kind of a version of events. in
So
a way.
that is supposed to be the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So Sherry Shriner says that if you follow what Paul is saying there, it actually leads you astray. So it's meant to be like a false line. So you're supposed to listen to what Yahshua says, but you're not supposed to listen to him.
You're supposed to. Okay.
Because she later, so that brings me to point. No, actually, that's later. I'm just going to say it now. So there's actually 12 disciples in Sherry Shriner's world. And Paul didn't actually replace Judas. Matthias did. So she kind of just like hates Paul.
Screw Saul.
Well, let's talk about Paul for a second. We have to bear in mind that Paul never met Jesus. Like, even if we do history of Jesus, Paul and Jesus never crossed paths. Paul's only experience of Jesus was essentially in his head.
All the visions that he had.
So she was like, you don't even
Yeah.
know him.
Right.
Okay.
Basically, he's like a
Fake
false
news.
Yeah, he's a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Did that clear anything up? Are we all we're
Yeah,
good?
a
We're
little bit. I mean, I think that it's really her fault about the tree of life. And the book.
Exactly. There's going to be there's a lot of things here that I'm going to be able to give you answers, but also I can't give you answers.
I think this is the first time I've ever heard the name Saul Paul before, so I'm just
Saul was
lost.
his original name before
yeah.
he met God, essentially.
But who's he?
Saul used to
Saul.
persecute Christians. He would kill them, but then he had this whole vision on the road or whatever, and an angel spoke to him and was like,
Allegedly.
"You need." Allegedly, yes. And it was like, "You need to not do this." And he was like, "Okay, I'm Paul now. I save Christians, essentially."
But she kind of is just like, nope, you're bad.
She's like, I do not trust him.
3, John's revelations are basically just a way for the church to abuse their power over people and don't pertain to the King James Bible since it didn't exist at the time. This one I have a lot of issues with because she constantly uses revelations in all of her work. So
Is
I'm
she
not
saying it's
sure.
like a scare tactic kind
I
of
think
thing?
she's basically saying a lot of the things that are put in Revelations that John like put in Revelations, because you also have to keep in mind that she kind of is like, the King James Bible kind of contains the word of God, but it's also all messed up basically. She doesn't really, it's this idea of like they couldn't even interpret Jesus right, you know. Remember my first bullet point. So she says that because the King James Bible didn't even exist at the time, that Revelations shouldn't matter, I guess. But then she constantly uses Revelations in her own work and this idea of the second coming. So,
Okay, but the second coming is Old Testament. So Revelation is an interpretation of the older Bible books, but I agree with her that Revelation is after the time of Jesus, like by a little while. This guy, St. John the Revelator, is just like living in Rome as an early Christian, and he feels persecuted for like his own reasons, right? We did that in that episode.
she's still like, she uses Revelations all the time to like support her own
argument?
theories.
That's a little
Like,
hypocritical.
I'll get to a couple of points later. Like, she basically at some point says that Babylon in Revelations is America. Yeah, we'll get there. So that's going to be great later. 4, serpent seed line. You can also look up serpentseedline.com if you want more information for her website.
Is that like for your garden? You can get some seeds?
For your serpent?
For your
Nope.
for the garden that's in your book.
Basically, Satan has a descendant on Earth, and Saul Paul started it all. It's basically all his fault. This is the Antichrist that, Yahshua warned us about before he dips, basically.
Yahshua being the real Jesus.
Yes.
Okay, so-
Don't say Jesus, because Jesus is Satan.
Yeah, but, I'm putting Jesus in air quotes
Yeah, you can do that.
this time.
Yeah.
Which our listeners can clearly see, James.
Yeah. She also at some point kind of tries to bring in Cain, but the whole Cain
And Abel.
serpent seed line or whatever. But she mostly just blames it on Paul, but she never really says exactly what Paul did to do that, but it's fine. This is gonna be where it gets a little painful. At least it got painful for me.
Number 5.
Oh, is this another point?
Yes,
number
this is number 5. So the Jewish people currently governing Israel are serpent seed line Jews. That's in quotes. And aren't running the country on theology, but rather following a model of Satanism/Zionism and the New World Order. The Holocaust was implemented by said Jewish people, including Adolf Hitler, who wanted to eliminate Torah, Yahshua believers, so like the true believers in their eyes, and establish their own homeland in Israel to rule over. She then later also says that Zionism and the New World Order are both mere forms of Satanism meant to lead us in the way of Satan and the Antichrist, so I don't know why she didn't just say Satanism to begin with.
I don't understand why in all of these crazy theories that Jewish people get picked on, I guess, in the nicest terms.
They've had it rough enough.
They always do.
It's just they're so ingrained, I think, in...
Well, and if we go back to the other episodes, the idea is that when the Jews gather in Israel, this will initiate, right, Jacob? This is part of your reading, right? As a child.
Yeah.
That once we gather the Jews, then we can have the apocalypse.
What?
So, they have to gather them in Israel first.
It's
What?
it's kind of what sets off the end times, essentially, because they're going
Because they can be converted to Christianity more easily when they're all in one place.
Yeah.
In the Holy Land.
Yeah.
Scattered throughout many diaspora.
It's
Are
harder.
you serious?
Yeah, because
That's the basic idea, yeah. So, I mean, I guess I can follow the logic of this, that if you wanted to initiate an apocalypse because you wanted the Antichrist to come, then you would gather the Jews in Israel. Is that basically how this goes?
I guess it does. It is about like the apocalypse eventually, but it is also about this. It's this idea that she never says reptilians when she talks about this, but like it's the serpent seed line. It's that same idea. So it's the idea that they are using Israel, like they are controlling Israel the wrong.
This is way late, but if you have listened to our other episodes, this will be a lot easier.
Yeah.
So
I
you don't have to
was
listen to
gonna say
all
that.
50, but if you've listened to the Apocalypse series up to now, I think this is the last episode in the Apocalypse series, and we're really drawing on, like if you, just go back and listen to those. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Olivia.
So that's that point. Are we kind of okay there? I mean, it was painful for me to have to interpret that, but
for the most part, yeah.
So 6, to really let's just culturally just rub it in all over. Allah of the Islamic faith is Satan.
Ouch.
Yeah. That's pretty like cut and dry. Like literally Allah equals Satan is like what she has on her website. And it comes down to this, the idea that they've got it wrong.
Yeah, she says that everybody's calling people by the wrong names.
So it's just kind of like the ones who are trying to interpret it. It's bad.
She basically said, like, she has evidence. It's complicated and stupid, but she thinks that she has like a chart. It's literally, there's like a chart on her website of evidence that like the Islamic faith is the same. It has like the same components as this other thing that's bad and that this thing that's bad. So it's this like trail line of Islam is bad and Allah is Satan because of all of these components of Islam, basically. There's no credence to it.
So Muhammad was talking to Satan and thought he was talking to Yahweh. Because Muhammad believed that he was an interpreter of Judaism, of the religion of the one God. So he believed that Allah and Yahweh were the same God, but he was mistaken, I guess, in this thing.
Yup. I mean,
according to Schreiner.
Sherry Schreiner's talking to Lucifer, so she knows what's up, I guess.
But Lucifer isn't Satan?
Okay.
He's trying to kill her, right?
Well,
no. He's her brother.
Ryan also pointed this out to me earlier. He asked me, like, is there a difference between Satan and Lucifer? And I am not sure that she thinks that there's a difference, but she does specifically use Lucifer when she's more so talking about actually having talked to Lucifer in person, like having like interviews, like her book Interview with the Devil.
Like a guy named Lucifer.
Like an actual person. Well, that's Satan, but
okay.
But she uses the word Satan more like generally. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people tend to. Like Lucifer's like the dude, but Satan's more of the idea and the dude.
Okay.
You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And for those of you who have not connected with Olivia on Tinder, Ryan is her boyfriend, and yes, they are both looking for a third. So
we are. We're searching.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's gonna go bad. Anyway, so
I thought he didn't listen to this.
He doesn't.
Well, we're good then.
I'm more so wondering about who does. Anyway, so
they're like, now's my chance.
We're just kidding. They're not looking for a
you
third.
will not. You might find my old. Anyway. Okay. So 7. Here. Thank you. We haven't done that.
I wanted to like spice it up a little bit.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I have 2 words for you. Soul scalping.
Soul scalping?
That sounds painful.
Like yeah, you know. So
nope. not really.
Explain it in vivid detail, please.
So we're gonna come to some reptilian stuff for a minute. I know we've been like skirting around reptilians, and like she mentions them, and then she like kind of goes away, and then it's like demons and zombies. But we'll get there. But then the main thing that the reptilians are doing are right. It's the same thing as reptilian theory, where they're trying to take our skins. They're trying to get into our meat suits. She takes that idea, and instead it's more so this idea of soul scalping, where they literally take these like tiny serpent snakes. They're like these little tiny garden snakes is what they look like, and they open your mouth and they force them on in, and then
So there's no actual scalping going on?
I think the idea is that it's like marking you, like it's marking your soul.
Oh.
Like it's literally like once you have this evil entity inside of you, like you're basically screwed. Like it's taken you over. Like it's literally like a scalping of your soul. Like, you know what I mean? So like you're not going to get into heaven now.
But it comes through your mouth.
Yeah.
So you would know if this happened to you, because some of this reptilian stuff,
no,
you're like, you don't know if you're a
Not
reptilian.
I mean, if you're
Necessarily.
abducted, you might not remember.
Oh,
And then you're taken over, so then you're a reptilian, so it doesn't matter.
that's sneaky.
Yeah.
It's snaky, actually.
We got jokes. But the other way, I guess there's an alternate way that they sometimes do it, where they take this like horn quill kind of thing that's like on their head, and they like take it out, and then they like stick you with it. And I guess that's more of like a mind control kind of thing. I think that's more remote, maybe, is what they're hinting. I'm not really sure.
Do you see them do it?
I think the idea is that you wouldn't know
Okay.
if it happened to you.
So like
Fair
you're
enough.
like walking down the street and somebody just like hits you really quick with a pointy thing, and then like
I think it's more like you get abducted.
Okay.
Like it's like an alien abduction.
Does it stay in you, or do they just like poke you
No,
with
I
it
think
and then
it
they
stays.
take it? Oh.
I think it stays is the connotation.
Like a bee stinger.
Yeah.
Almost like a tracking device, but it's like it's like someone implanted something
so
in
it's
your.
connecting them to you?
Yeah, I
Whoa.
think.
Can't you just use a stud finder and pull that on out?
No. So here's the thing, though, about soul scalping, because I know you're all freaking out because you're like, I got to protect my soul scalps.
Now I want it to happen at this
my
point.
soul from scalping.
Right. I will tell you guys, they don't want bankers, very specifically. No bankers. So
Wow.
if you become a banker, you're good.
That does not
Like-
involve me.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've got enough people in politics, they say. No more.
Tapped out.
We've got Bush, we've got Reagan, we got them all. We don't need any more.
So Mayor Pete's in the clear.
Yep, he's good. We no more
Booty.
small politics, maybe, I don't know. But like small politics, maybe, I don't know. But like here's a quote directly from Sherry Schreiner about who they're going after now. Now they're even going after secondary level people, such as CIA, NSA, any type of government or military spies, intelligence agents, advisors, analysts, directors, managers, along with anyone and everyone who has ever signed the dotted line of fortune and fame or swore alliance to Lucifer in the sisterhood or brotherhood. So if you follow any of those...
Okay, let me ask you about fame, because we do have Swedish listeners. We are internationally known.
Do we sign the dotted line?
I would not call us internationally famous, but where is the line? Where is that dotted line?
I think it's on a contract.
How many listeners do we have to have before they come for us? Because we'll stop right shy of that.
Well...
Okay.
Savannah's like, speak for yourself.
I think we all have to... we all have to decide to swear ourselves
as one
to
unit?
Lucifer. Yeah, I think we...
So one person
We all
can throw
have to
this
agree.
off.
So when I disappear and Olivia disappears and it's just Savannah and Jacob running the podcast, you'll know that we hit
Yeah.
that number of listeners.
Yeah,
Olivia and I squirreled away in a hole somewhere, and
Yeah.
Savannah and Jacob made a deal with Lucifer.
Rob and I, we might be...
We're doing great.
So Olivia,
Cannibalized.
do you have to like knowingly like swear yourself to Lucifer? Or can you be tricked?
I think
Or
you
like
can be,
swear to
probably.
Lucifer by another name?
Well, I feel like he
think-
knows, right?
I think the part...
Right, he would know, but not us.
Right. So I think you probably could. She never says anything about... It's not so much like in the Bible where it's like Satan did this disguise and did this trick and,
Tried to give someone an
It's-
apple.
I don't think she doesn't really talk about it like that. It sounds like Lucifer takes more of like a backseat driver because, I mean, he literally sent his general to come after her. He didn't do it.
Well, he's got people for it now.
Yeah, you can. Like, I think in theory you could get swept up because, I mean, if you just enter the world of politics, if you enter... You decide, I'm not a banker, you become, they even say like an advisor. You could be an advisor to the government and you'd be a threat. So I think the idea though with the signing on the dotted line is more like Illuminati, New World Order. You are willingly like signing the dotted line.
Okay.
But I think you could be tricked probably, but...
If you have questions about Illuminati New World Order, today is not that day. However,
Yeah.
I am literally going to start that stuff, connecting it to the occult in our very next episode. So hold that thought.
Now, this is one that I think, Rob, maybe I'm speaking too soon, but I think you might be able to get behind this a little bit. Aliens and UFOs are fallen angels. Hear me out. They were running around rampant during Noah's time, kidnapping and impregnating women, resulting in giant hybrids.
Okay, so here's how I can get behind that. That is a reflection of Enoch in some regard, Book of Enoch. It's also a mild reflection of what we just talked about, extraterrestrial Armageddon and Stitcher and all those crazy folks. So it is very History Channel positive.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure there was an episode on like aliens on like the History Channel that was about that.
So I can get behind it in that I know where it comes from
That's
and
what I
think it's
meant.
ridiculous.
Right. No, I meant you're going to be like, oh, that's familiar. So now we're going to get into orgone energy. It sounds like some Star Trek shit because it kind of is.
The Oregon Blaster.
Yep.
Okay, that was Data. I was pretty bad.
Nailed it.
Yeah. No.
So I'm going to start with a quote, actually, on what Sherry Schreiner says that orgone energy is. And then I'm going to actually kind of explain a little bit of science. She says orgone is a crystal-based defense weapon using piezo. Electric energy that produces an ancient energy we know as aether energy. Aether energy is positive life and healing energy. It is also known in some forms as chi energy, and the Bible codes describe it as Yah's breath. It is seen as a blue aura around Earth. So, my boyfriend Ryan, who I mentioned earlier, he actually went to UXO school, which is like bombs and stuff, especially in the ground. I'm a little bit confused. But
Why doesn't he work with bombs? Never mind.
Get into
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Sorry.
I'm glad he
Sorry.
got out of that.
He did it for a long time, but Now he's a UPS man. Anyway, so
Still 3 letters. UXO, UPS.
he's a simple man.
UPS
Simple man.
is actually, that's what they do.
He only wants to remember
Ooh,
simple
maybe
things.
we're uncovering a conspiracy here. UPS is actually
UXO.
UXO. Yeah, they're I don't know what UXO stands for, but it's bomb based.
UPS does not pay as well. I'll tell you that right now.
You think those packages are just full of like, baby clothes and
Or
laundry
Oregon?
detergent? They're full of Oregon.
They're full of Oregon.
Oh.
That's why Amazon has all this money. So Ryan broke down what piezo
Piezo.
electric energy actually kind of is. Basically, it's pure quartz, and with only like a little bit of pressure, it creates kind of like an endless energy, is what they used to call it. It's not really endless, but it kind of, it seems endless. Like it will keep going. Like it goes on its own kind of thing. We use it in our weapons and like missiles, rockets. I don't know exactly how, but we do. It never dies, and it's super dangerous to touch. Like when they would have to lift it out of the ground, they had to wear these like crazy gloves, and it was super like delicate and careful.
What about the power?
Like, is it actually? It's not actually powering the space shuttle. It's not lifting it off into space. That's jet fuel, right?
No. I think the way that he explained it is it's more of the energy that makes it. I think maybe is
That makes the rocket fuel.
not the. I don't think it's the.
It's
fuel.
somewhere in there. It's like operating the dashboard or something.
I think it's like it's part of the structure. Like it's part of. It's not like the actual fuel that's like fueling it.
Piezoelectric energy is used in like tiny things like clockworks and like microscopes, like very complicated microscopes and stuff. So like imagine with a missile or a rocket where like it's a game of micrometers, right? Like it's very it has to be very precise.
So you're saying it's like the guidance system or something. We're guessing here,
Yes,
but
yeah,
it would be
I'd
something like that.
imagine.
Some of the more sophisticated aspects of it.
Yeah.
It's just I know it's very like volatile in that it's just so easy for it to just go off. Like it would just detonate.
So why again are we talking about this?
Oh, so basically, Sherry Shriner talks about Oregon nonstop. Oregon is this Oregon that we're talking about. She says is used to actually defend against basically everything bad or everything she thinks is bad. Chemtrails, ELF, which is this. It's,
Tiny person with pointed ears.
The movie.
no, I got really excited.
Will Ferrell.
It's a defense system against Will Ferrell.
No, it stands for.
It's losing. It's losing the battle. Will Ferrell has totally won.
So
No, but what really? It's ELF. What does that stand for? Or RNM?
it's like electric something, but it's
Oh,
basically
okay.
like a. It reminded I skimmed through this one, but it basically reminded me a lot of like David Icke's like theories about technology taking over.
So it's a kind of energy.
It's more of like a program,
Oh.
Like AI?
kind
stuff?
of.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a government program, like
To
electric.
control us.
Yeah, but that's not what it's supposed to be for. But that's what Sherry.
Because
says
the
it's for.
chemtrails are like making our frogs gay and stuff.
Yep.
And the
Yes.
Oregon defends us against that.
Yes, and it also defends us against night terrors by keeping aliens and demons out of your house and bedroom at night. It's so good. This Oregon is just so good that Satan wants it banned from Earth for its apparent, and I quote, 101 other uses as well. That's other besides what she already listed. David killed Goliath with a stone via God, and we are doing that shit with Oregon, baby. That's what we're doing.
So now, if any of our listeners are having night terrors, what would we say to them about the Oregon around their homes?
Well, you could get on Sherry Shriner's website and buy some Oregon for a very expensive price, but we'll get into
$1.50?
that.
$1.50? I'm in.
Sometimes it depends on what kind of how big you want the Oregon.
I want $1.50 worth of Oregon.
I could get you a pendant of Oregon for $44.
No, too big.
Can you touch it?
Yeah,
Oh, so okay. So
it's
just
really
like-
it's nothing.
okay. So
the
you said it
ones
was
that she
quartz.
was
That's why I
selling,
was like,
The things that she is selling are nothing. It's trash. It's garbage. Anyway.
Someone is listening to this right now, looking at their pendant and going,
Yep.
"Aw."
Sorry. That was a little harsh, guys, but the more we get into this, the more you're going to realize why I dislike this woman on a human level. 11. Oregon also kills zombies, guys.
Cool.
Oh, because that's coming, specifically in Africa, and specifically from either the H1N1 vaccine and or Ebola.
What
Fun
about
fact.
the new coronavirus?
Nope.
Oh.
I had H1N1.
Oh, shit.
What happened
Need some
to
Oregon
Yeah, we
right
need to get
now.
Oregon.
Yeah.
We need to get Oregon now.
Oregon.
I was in the hospital for 2 weeks.
And then they gave you some Oregon. Now you're better.
Yep,
Sherry Schreiner came.
Yes,
she did.
She did a prayer.
She came to me in a dream, and then she just was there.
That explains that pendant.
Yep.
Yes. 12. America is the last days Babylon described in Revelations chapter 8. Specifically is what she cites.
Geographically, Babylon is not where we are now in America. Are you saying that America will soon claim Babylon as a part of our territory?
The 51st state where they vote, will they vote Democrat or Republican? Or will it be like Puerto Rico?
Basically, I didn't get into this one too deep because it was too gone at that point. But she makes a lot of references to this throughout her work, but I think she basically is saying that the idea of Babylon in Revelations is America.
Yeah, to be fair, a lot of the churches that I have been to have said that it was kind of like a, I don't want to say a translation thing because, you know, it does say Babylon or whatever, but they have like the idea that it's supposed to actually be America instead. Yep.
Babylon is in your soul.
Yeah, we are the Babylon. The people. The idea.
We are the Babylon we want to see in the world.
You can get out of Babylon, but 13. The church is going to usher in the days of the Antichrist. She's for Sherry Schreiner being as like pro, you know, she comes for the King James Bible, but she's very pro God, Bible, even Christianity to a point, but like the church she hates the church. She didn't hate it, but
As in the organization or the place?
Both.
Okay.
But the
structure.
organization,
Okay.
the structure of the church.
And she's not choosing teams between Protestants and Catholics? Does she hate one more than the other? She hates them all.
She basically she never mentions. She doesn't say, like, she doesn't use the word Christianity even. The only time I saw her use the word Christianity was in the story about her background. That was it. She doesn't, the only religions she really brings up are, you know, like Islam she comes for and like
Judaism.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So the idea that the church is going to be the reason for the Antichrist, and I don't even think that that's that uncommon of a thing for people to
Right, I think
in
this
a
is
lot
the
of-
most like tame thing
Right.
she's said so far.
That to me was the most logical.
And it was the 13th, which is
Right.
weird.
Speaking of logical, 14 celebrity vampires.
Ooh.
So vampires are a huge problem.
Do they sparkle like in Twilight, or are they like?
No. They're more dangerous than that, Savannah, because you don't see them coming because they're not sparkling.
Whoa! Oh my god!
They literally, and it's not like psychic vampires, because at first when I saw vampires, I was like, oh, she means psychic vampires,
Duh.
right? No. She means they're drinking blood.
Did she
They're,
die before or after True Blood?
I think before, probably.
Oh, too bad for her.
Yeah, she would have hated it. She would have hated it.
She would have hated the vampire.
A bunch of
craze.
celebrities that are actually vampires pretending to be vampires.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys are thinking about planning a trip to France anytime soon, don't, because France overrun with vampires.
Okay, but that would explain why all French people are so beautiful, though, right?
But they're gonna suck your blood.
That's
okay.
why I'm there.
Is that also why they don't shave much?
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
correlation
They
there?
all have
Yup.
really long hair and just no body hair.
Yeah, that's not true.
I know it's not.
And speaking of France, in Europe, soul replacement is just rampant. The Queen is just wilding in Europe with soul replacement.
Elizabeth II replaces souls?
Soul replacement.
Is that why Meghan left?
No.
Oh,
Don't
wow.
you dare talk about Meghan yet.
She's coming?
She's not. She got out of there. So soul replacement, Sherry talks about it a lot, primarily in this idea that in Europe they're taking a lot of human souls and exchanging them with animal souls in order to create animal people hybrids, but she doesn't say why.
Because they're easier to control?
I think that's the idea. But also, it's this idea that the queen is a reptilian and is just like soul replacing everyone so that she can clone whoever she wants.
So she tried to turn Meghan into a dog? That's why she left?
Yeah, and Harry said, not today.
Who did she?
The corgis are all...
They have the souls of all of the...
All of the what? Secretaries of State?
No, the royal family.
The royal family. She replaced them. Yeah.
So that means the royal family is the corgis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the corgis keep trying to trip her.
It's so sad that Shannon's not here right now.
She would love this. Continuing our little tour of other countries, Italy is suffering from demonization.
People being turned into demons.
Yep.
Because of the Pope.
Because CERN, CERN, is unleashing the hordes of hell. So CERN is...
That sounds metal as hell.
Right. So some of our listeners...
Now we need Brie. We need everybody to do this episode.
Our listeners that are into like conspiracy stuff might actually recognize CERN, because at first when I was writing about it, I completely didn't, and then all of a sudden it hit me. But it's the European like nuclear facility. I can't think of exactly what it stands for.
I've seen it in anime.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they have like the collider? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So the
I'm going to make up what the letters stand for. It is the Council Européen Radioactive Nuclear.
I think that's almost close, to be honest with you.
Radioactive Nucléaire.
Yep. So it's partially the group, but then also the machine, the science that they're making is this. It's also called CERN. So I guess this was a whole thing where when this was being invented, they had to shut it down because people legitimately thought that they were opening up like the hordes of hell. So that's going to happen, I guess, again. Anyway, 17. This is a direct quote. If you're celebrating Christmas trees and Easter eggs, you are a pagan.
Yes, of course you are. And that's a lovely thing about you.
Just really needed to put that there as 17 because that meant something to me.
17's my favorite number.
I did that for you.
And it's prime.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Just like pagans.
Just like that
like
sentence
pagans.
was.
Cannot
Prime
be divided.
pagans.
18. She's anti-vax. Also anti-microwave. Anti-everything in modern society because chemtrails and flu shots are basically equally as apocalyptic.
And TV dinners.
Yes.
Well,
19.
Jacob needs to reflect on this first.
Yes, I'm sorry, Jacob. What do you...
never mind.
do you want to get into the flu shot? Is
Well,
that
because
what
I'm
you...
kind of sad. I can't get flu shot, so I feel like in a way I'm siding with it. But
yeah,
but
you
that's
are
for
kind of...
medical stuff.
You've
Yeah, that's not
also
your fault.
come down as pro-snake, you and Savannah, so...
That's true.
I
that
guess
might
I'm
be the
fine.
worst.
Are you like a sleeper cell inside the alchemical actors?
Are you a
I
Shriner?
can neither confirm nor deny.
19, and honestly, this is the one that hurts me the most. This is the one that really cuts deep, and I don't know who to believe anymore. She absolutely hates Meg Ryan.
Aw.
And as an avid fan of Kate and Leopold, if you're out there, I hear you, I see you, you are heard. I'm outraged.
So, are you talking to Meg Ryan or fans of Kate and Leopold?
I'm talking to the fans of Kate and Leopold.
Who is
Just-
Meg Ryan?
Oh my god.
Okay, so Kate and Leopold is kind of a deep cut, Savannah. Olivia's losing her shit right now. So let me walk you through Meg Ryan. So you know how Tom Hanks did those romantic comedies with that lady in the 90s? he got
You've
some
got
mail,
mail.
and he was sleeping in Seattle.
Oh, I do know that one.
That was Meg Ryan. Also,
Yeah.
more famously, Billy Crystal got to sleep with her in When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, okay.
Or at least got to watch her orgasm in a restaurant.
Oh.
Yeah? No?
Well, I haven't seen that.
Well,
so.
fake it. She was faking it. She was faking it.
Yeah.
She fakes orgasms. Maybe that's a reptilian thing.
No, I think that's a everybody thing.
James is faking
that's
one right now.
I'm just
Hot take, but honestly, that was
anyone
deep.
could.
That was a deep one. Wow. Well, she hates Meg Ryan specifically because she targets her for being a reptilian, mostly because they like to compare pictures of her from 2004 to 2014, which just doesn't seem fair.
Just because she's had some work done does not mean
Just
she's
doesn't seem fair. Apparently her throat bulges too much. I don't see it, but, Meg, girl, I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm here.
So she's an amphibious reptilian?
No, it seems like she just hates her.
Yeah, I just think maybe Sherry Shriner wasn't invited.
She
to,
cut her off in traffic
her friends
one day.
watching the movie. Yeah,
Maybe she loves Tom Hanks,
Oh.
and she's just like,
that's deep.
that bitch.
He's not married to her. He's married to what's her face? Rita.
Yeah, but in the movie,
what's her name? They did a movie together.
Tom Hanks's marriage
What?
in hour and a half increments.
But you can. He did a movie with his wife about how they were like missionaries in Africa or something.
What?
I've actually seen this movie. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. Well, listeners, write in.
And 20, our last point. Yes, 20 points or less.
or
Or
less,
just 20.
or just 20.
You could have just said that.
Do you guys want to know who Satan's spokesperson is?
Will Smith,
Close.
Ellen
DeGeneres. Yeah,
Close.
Will Ferrell.
Close.
I vote for Will Ferrell.
Look under your seats.
Oh,
It's Oprah.
oh, Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah. She's Satan's spokesperson.
There was nothing under my seat
No,
though.
Oprah's not
Okay.
under your
She's
seat.
not here in the studio with us.
Yeah, I just wanted to
She's
live
very
like Oprah
famous,
for
so
a second.
yes.
Oh,
It
because
makes
she
sense.
says to look.
Because
under
she's
your-
got
yeah.
she's always got stuff under there. I didn't bring any stuff for you though. I could keep going, if you guys want.
Yeah, well,
I
you said
could
20 or
keep-
less, and then if you kept going, it would be 20 or more.
That's very astute, James.
You'd have to flip your inequality sign.
And
Yes.
you already lied about saying or less. So,
Yeah.
Well,
She's
it could be equal to or less.
oh.
Shriner has only denied being a cult leader, even though there's so much material that is culty to go through. Yet Mineo followed her and her teachings until Rogers just got in the way.
All right, you got to bring us back to these people. Remind us again.
Yeah, I forgot the characters.
So, remember in the beginning, our case, we started with our crime case
Yeah.
with Rogers and Mineo and Shriner. So,
Okay, so who shot who again? Mineo is the shooter?
Roger.
Rogers claims that Mineo had a gun, forced her to hold it to his head and pull the trigger.
Oh.
She got a third-degree murder charge, so she got off way lesser than a lot of people would have liked. So it started when Rogers posted pictures of steak tartare on her Facebook page, also posting that she just craves raw meat all the time for some reason. Shriner told Mineo that his girlfriend was a vampire witch reptilian super soldier trying to kill and consume him. Mineo attempted to post 5 different YouTube videos denouncing Shriner, often featuring and defending Rogers. Shriner continued to post videos about Mineo and Rogers even after his death.
Too soon.
She said, "There's only certain types of people who crave the raw meat because they crave the blood, those with the vampire demon in them." Shriner also claimed evidence of Rogers displaying slit eyes on her Facebook photos, a classic reptilian giveaway.
Well, sorry? Slit eyes.
So,
Like slits in her eyes, like a cat?
yeah, but also, literally, if your eyes are, too, narrow and, slit, it's,
I don't.
Like suspicious.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is a.
it's like her face is contorting.
The shape of your eyelid is also ethnic and racial.
So that sounds
imperative.
racist.
Yes.
I don't think it meant eyelid. I think it means the literal pupil
It's
in
like
your
this.
eye.
Well, that too. But yeah, because that's but she literally says, I mentioned it later, but her face starts to contort.
All right, Savannah. It looks like we're up to another Shriner quote, right, Olivia? Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead. Step on in there.
When the demon manifested in her, if it was the demon or a lizard, if she had both, a human's no match for that kind of supernatural strength.
Can't take them both, and yeah, that's a lot.
A demon or a lizard.
Yep.
Both powerful forces.
Schreiner even goes as far as throwing out the theory that Rogers was triggered to kill Mineo after watching one of the Resident Evil movies with him. Apparently, the movie is based on a female super soldier, whom, of course, she knows. Seeing the blood in the movie drew the demon out of Rogers, and her face contorted. Schreiner claims Mineo told Rogers, "Sherry was right about you. I should have listened," and it threw Rogers into a rage that caused her to kill him.
I love how Schreiner claims
So-
that he said.
Yeah.
They just knew each other, right?
Who?
The people.
Rogers and Mineo?
Yeah.
So they actually were boyfriend and girlfriend, but they were together for long enough where I believe they had at least one kid together, and if not, they both like co-parented each other's kids, but they called each other husband and wife.
But they knew Schreiner? Mm-hmm. Like,
They were
personally.
part of her cult.
Oh, okay. As
Well,
the
they
cult.
didn't know her
'Cause-
personally, they knew her online personally.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Schreiner, as you know, James pointed out with her stories about other people and what happened to them, she also has plenty of stories about what happened to Kelly Pingley, evidently who was killed by NATO because she believed in the god Yahshua. That's what Schreiner says. And this is a quote from Schreiner. James, do you want to read this one?
Sure. Kelly just pissed people off because she was supposed to kill me 3 months earlier on a trip to NYC with me, and she refused to kill me.
And the alleged murders came from...
The White House. I was number 2 on Obama's death list for 8 years. She was coming to my house before we headed to NYC. She was supposed to kill me when she got here, so the trip would never happen.
To summarize, Schreiner turned Pingley's suicide into a rallying of the surviving troops of her cult. Most of her followers didn't even know the truth of how Pingley died, alone in a snowy forest at night with an organ pendant around her neck. Her brother claimed that in her suicide note, she was convinced she was off to fulfill the next level of her spiritual destiny. Schreiner continued to make money off of her ministry even after the deaths of 2 followers and a handful of failed prophecies. Her organ can sell from around $44 to $290 on her website.
Too much.
And every article I've read mentions her GoFundMe making around, I don't know, $150,000.
Oh my god.
Which went up in price even after both deaths. But don't get me wrong, Schreiner's life is super sad and difficult too. Let's hear about it in her own words. Jacob, how about you take this one?
Okay. The kings of the earth know who I am, and I constantly have to deal with attacks, harassment, spying, assassination attempts from the Mossad, CIA, NSA, FBI, DIA, Pentagon, White House, the Ascended Masters, what the New Agers call Satan's panel of experts and advisors. The New Agers refer to them as enlightened beings, and Satan himself.
Wow.
Poor woman. And that's where my research ends, guys, because I figured we could just like close this with a discussion about everything that we just listened to, because
Recap.
it's a lot, and I think I really want to drill home the idea of like how dangerous this idea of digital doomsday cults is.
Digital doomsday.
Yeah, it sounds cool, but and this idea of like, you know, Jim Jones could have never. Like, he could have never thought about what he
Jim
could have
Jones
done
could never.
with social media. I mean, the fact that the Family International still has a YouTube channel, literally, like, it disgusts me. Like, it literally makes me so upset.
Well, violence in social media is such a thing, right? I mean, even beyond this, like the incels and a variety of groups,
Yeah.
Doomsday or not, instigate
Right.
and, you know, prompt each other to violence in a variety of different ways. So when we're recording this, just yesterday there was the shooting in Thailand, and Facebook and Instagram had to rush to make sure that images of the shooting were not broadcast on the internet, and they had to take down the accounts of this guy, because that's essentially what's happening. Is these violent events are being propagated across millions and millions of, you know, people's phones and devices.
Yeah.
What a brave new world we're in.
I mean,
don't
Sherry
F with
Schreiner,
cats.
right. And Sherry Schreiner, she didn't have to come near any of these people for them to die.
No.
For the cause.
Put it online.
And I mean, Yeah, that's all. And what's insane is like she still has followers. She still, if you look up her name, you are gonna search through forums of people debating that she's still alive. Like there are people on both sides that hate her and love her in the conspiracy world that are like, she's still alive because if she believed in reptilians, she could have been one. She could have shapeshifted. She could have. There's all of these things, whether they hate her or not. Like people still talk about her, and you really can't even find anything on her death. But she died, I don't know, I think a couple of years after the Mineo and like Rogers thing happened, but she didn't have any consequences.
How did she die?
Can't find it. The insinuation is it's natural. Like she was old. Like she was up there in age. You can find that she's dead, but the details are not there. I mean, the details on her life just aren't there, except for what she said. So
this is actually a pretty long tradition too. One of the women I'm going to talk about in the next series, Edith Starr Miller, died at 45 of apparently natural causes, but her book of occult conspiracy was published posthumously, and part of the title was Edith Starr Miller killed for, knowing the truth. Right.
Well, and it reinforces this idea of, a lot of people say, like, how could you get involved in a doomsday cult? How could you believe these things? And even if you could believe them, once they're proven in your face that they're wrong, how do you still continue to believe them? And I think it's interesting that Sherry Shriner had this ability without even seeing these people face to face. Whereas, Jim Jones and all these people, like, they had physical contact. They had a bond with these people, like in person. This is just over the internet and can span so far with so many people that it's scary.
Well, I think even, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, on the internet, when you find something, it's because you're looking for it, or the algorithm has calculated that you are predisposed to this kind of information, so.
I also think too, it's like, well, it goes along with the in-person doomsday cults, but like once you've devoted your life to something for multiple years, it's like you kind of have to dig down deep into it and be like, I can't have wasted all of these years. So yes, exactly. I believe in what I'm doing, even though you are being proven or showed facts that it's wrong.
And if the cult leader dies, she's still out there. She's got to be out there. Yeah. If she's not out there, who's stalking a Yahweh? Like,
it's like when you're at the restaurant and you order the food and you don't really like it, but you ordered it and you're already eating half of it. So you're like, nah, I might as well finish it. But you're not enjoying it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're
just like being in a doomsday, digital doomsday cult.
Yeah, except if you're also strapped to the chair and can't leave.
It's like that.
Yeah. And another thing I also want to touch on, because, the social media aspect is the Shrinerites are still exploiting like unsolved crimes on YouTube. So there's like very notorious unsolved crimes that have like camera footage that people put on YouTube, and it's a conspiracy thing and people analyze it, and there's like, it's part good and part bad really to it. But the Shrinerites really like profit off of taking these unsolved crime cases on YouTube and just exploiting them.
So are we talking about murders or are they missing persons?
Like murders of missing people. But
okay, so what are they saying? What's the line that they ascribe to? So someone dies and we don't know how they died, or someone disappears, we don't know what happened to them.
All right, so there's one case of this one young woman who basically there's video footage of her in a hotel kind of being messed up, and then she basically makes her way into a freezer. You know what I'm talking about.
I thought
probably.
You were going to talk about the one that she ended up in the water tower.
That's another one. It's basically this girl, there's footage of her from the hotel cameras wandering into this ice locker, and then she's dead, and there's all this evidence, and it's unsolved, but a lot of people on the internet analyze it, and, it's that kind of thing. But the Shrinerites...
It was Kanika Jenkins.
Yeah. So they take this and they'll take the footage and they'll do things to it, or they'll take the footage and say, oh, do you see that man that was in that passed on the camera? He had a baby in his arms and that baby was a reptilian. Like, they come up with these insane things. If you look on her website, you could just scroll down for pages of YouTube videos just exploiting this young girl who was a teenager. She wasn't even 18, I don't think, who died, whose parents are out there. still missing her, and these people just exploit it.
So they're not really hurting the investigation, but they're making content out of these people's pain and suffering.
Yeah, it's if you look on YouTube, just videos. And I think there are some people out there that, not even just talking about the Shrine rites. I think some people, it's a double-edged sword. I think maybe some people are doing it for good reasons. Some people are doing it just because it's the conspiracy. Shrine rites are doing it 100%. It's ridiculous and bad. There's no excuse. There's nothing good that comes out of it. It's all bullshit. Order of Confessors!
Okay, so we've got to check in with Fitness Kitty, who left us a review, 5 stars, feeding us those stars. Now, Fitness Kitty brings up an interesting point, and I want to get into the history of this, a little Occult Confessions history. So she says she gives 5 stars, loves that, we're so different from other podcasts, really enjoying our different format. And then she notes that what she calls the Henry Zebrowski guitar riff should only be used sparingly and preferably by Henry. Now, I have to be honest with our listeners. I think that Last Podcast on the Left is just okay, and I listen to it. I do not at all resent their success. Good for them. However, I don't listen to it as much as maybe Olivia does. Some of our alchemical actors do very much enjoy this program. I just think they don't talk about their research enough, and as you can tell, I like the research. So there's just too much banter, I think, for me, which some people have complained about on this podcast, which is wildly unfair. They've clearly not listened to Last Podcast on the Left. Oh, God. That having been said, I didn't know who Henry Zebrowski was, and I had to look it up. And I did know that Henry Zebrowski did the This Is Bree's bit, where she does the na-na-na-na-na. I don't think it sounds like that on Last Podcast, does it?
I think they sound.
So there was a point, actually, after our first year of podcasting that I asked Bree to tone it down. So if you listen to... if you listen to our episodes, you'll notice that it's going, and then suddenly you don't hear it for a bunch of episodes. Because I was like, I think we're doing it a lot. But my impression of this particular guitar riff, because it's done on a lot of different podcast YouTube channels, is that it's part of the culture. It's not actually a Last Podcast thing. What do you guys think?
I mean, I first heard it from Last Podcast on the Left.
Bree was the first person I heard do it, so I just think it's her thing, and I think they copied her.
I agree.
Well, I think it is. I think there is an aspect of it that is just like a cultural.
Yeah.
Like it is. I mean, Brianna plays the like she does music, like she does that stuff. Like I don't know. I think it is partially.
It's like a meme.
Henry got it.
I think it's.
I mean, Henry, he took it. Like I remember the episode he first used it on. Like
He took it. Where do you take it from?
Just like the idea of metal.
Oh, yeah,
this idea, it was like a metal axe moment. Like they were talking about some murder.
So we've literally run the gamut here. We've gone from Savannah's perspective that it came from Last Podcast to James's perspective that somehow through time travel we did it first to Olivia's, but that it's just part of the culture. So I don't know. We don't do it nearly as much now as we used to.
I'm more on board for it being like part of the culture thing too. I just heard it first from Last Podcast on the Left, but I like it. It's not that unique, I guess.
So what we're trying to say, Fitness Kitty, is that was thought provoking. That comment. And we will continue to debate this issue. So thanks for the stars, and thanks for getting us talking about the history of the guitar riff. I want to note a couple of our friends on Instagram real quick, because we have been requesting meme submissions. And they've started to come in. Savannah, could you actually pull up? Can you pull up the Occult Confessions Facebook for me? Because I'm going to go through the Instagram folks, but we did get one on Facebook the other day. So we have Septa Sketch. Olivia, do you know Septa Sketch? It says you do, according to...
Seems familiar.
Septa Sketch, she sent us some memes. I'm not going to describe these memes. I just want to say thanks, because memes, right? That's painful to describe them. And I want you to, if you are following us on Instagram, go ahead and pop over there, and we are posting these up either in our story or on the Instagram. Boy, it sounds like I understand this now, doesn't it?
It really does.
Also, Nixie Dust, who I think is super cool. I was checking out her page. She's an actor in Canada.
Oh.
And let me pull the. I'm gonna plug her for a second here. here. She's, oh boy, this is hard to do. There we go. She's on a YouTube show called In Plain Sight,
Well, that sounds
according to
nifty.
her. So I wanted to give her a little plug there because she sent us some memes, and yeah, I think she's super cool. And now, who sent us something on Facebook there, Savannah? Is Savannah?
I can't find it.
No,
Facebook broke.
Facebook broke. Does anyone else see this?
So it was Leanne F. Hensley Merritt.
Ah, delightful. Oh yeah, we've heard from Leanne a time or two. I'm seeing it now. Star Trek things. Takes all nerds to hold this podcast together. Thanks, Leanne. So that's over on the Facebooks.
I want to see it.
She's struggling to get it onto Twitter, she said, and I sympathize. I don't know how any of this stuff works.
Boomer.
I don't think she's a...
No, I meant you.
I'm not a boomer either.
You act like
Boomer.
one.
Hashtag not a boomer. Okay, let's... I hereby adjourn and declare closed this meeting of the Secret Order of Alchemical Actors until such a time as we get together and do it again. Olivia, who did we have joining us around the table today?
We have Savannah Verrett.
Bye.
We've got James Kaplangis,
Farewell.
Jacob Wheatley,
See you later.
and Rob C. Thompson.
That's me. Join us next time. Oh boy, this is it. We're done. We are done with year 2. We're not
Take
done.
us out of the oven.
Don't panic. We'll be back.
We're done.
But we are out of year 2. So we do finish in a sort of odd time of year. We started on Valentine's Day and we end on Valentine's Day, unlike a lot of other podcasts who sort of just use the calendar year. I don't know if all podcasts manage to start on the 1st of January. That seems kind of fake, but we did not. So I actually do fill a year and I count that our year. So on the 14th of February, 15th, I don't know, whenever this is posting, closing up year 2, closing up the Apocalypse series. I hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun bringing you the end of the world over and over again. And it's time to move on. It's time to move on, friends, to a topic that I think many of our listeners will be very excited to engage with. We are going conspiracy. Now, yeah. I need to put a great big caveat in this. I've been doing the research. I've been writing the episodes. I'm actually pretty well ahead. I'm almost done writing the series. I am not going to spend 8 episodes talking about how conspiracy theorists are nuts. It's not a valuable way to spend time. I'm also not going to just rehash the stuff that you could catch easily on any of the podcasts that cover conspiracy theory. We are interested in really what I think I would call the Luciferian conspiracy, that Lucifer, or an anti-religious or anti-Christian, and those are pretty much all synonymous in the conspiracy world that I'm focusing on, exists. That there is this anti-Christian plot within the Illuminati to eliminate religion worldwide, but it comes from a very Protestant Christian perspective. So we're going to be interested in breaking that down. And in order to do that, you guys are going to love that. I think you're going to love this. I feel like this is our jam. This is our Listen to the Confessor's jam. We will be talking about, yes, the Knights Templar are going to get their own episode. The trial of the Knights Templar. We're going to be talking about the Rosicrucians. Yep. Yeah, those Rosicrucians. You know, the ones that you've never met because...
They don't exist?
Yeah, no one... It's like Fight Club. It's both in your head and you don't talk about it. Spoiler alert. We're going to talk about the protocols of the Elders of Zion with much sympathy for the Jewish people in that particular episode. We're going to be talking about occult ritual abuse and mind control, extraterrestrials. I'm going to do the whole thing until we've understood as clearly as possible where these ideas come from, which I don't think is really done. We love to talk about conspiracies and it's fun and games, but I don't think it's fun and games. I think it's a very serious part of our culture and deserves some serious analysis. So I'm going to attempt that. And we're going to have some fun along the way. All right. Occult Confessions is recorded here at the beautiful Cadby Theater on the scenic eastern shore of Maryland. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time, next year, year 3.
Bye.
In the Occult Conspiracy series. Yeah, you can say it now.
Bye, guys.